How's it going, Instagram? My brain has been flooding with ideas for content for videos on mental health and Tourette syndrome and very important topics that people really don't feel comfortable speaking about. But screw them. Not them meaning the people who suffer with it, meaning screw the people who are not comfortable with these topics because these are very important topics that affect people's lives, and I feel like I have the authority to talk about them because I live with um, mental health problems and I live with Tourette's syndrome. Um, but one idea that I had for a video that I'm going to talk about now before I forget is why people with mental health issues such as depression and anxiety, and really almost any mental health issue, particularly mood disorders, why do they isolate themselves from other people? Um, and by people, I mean obviously it's about as general as you can be in terms of terms, but I really mean friends and family, particularly in this case. But it could really be anyone. Um, for me, my main reason is that I don't want to pretend that I'm happy when I'm not. Um, I mean, I'm a pretty authentic, genuine person, um, but people are not comfortable with sadness because if you're sad, chances are you could remind someone else that they're sad too. Emotions spread. It's no wonder that when you're having a depressive episode, it's like the whole world turns gray, um, and all you see are the grimes. All you see is a grime in the street. All you see are the homelessness. When you're depressed, you focus on the depressing things in your surroundings. When you're manic, or when you're or in a good mood, let's not make it pathological. When you're in a good mood, you may notice that the weather's nice. You may notice that you have food in your fridge. Like you notice the little things, good and bad, right? But yeah, with me, one of the reasons why I isolate from people is because I don't want to pretend that I'm happy. I get tired of the same questions like, why haven't I heard from you? You always look sad, which is like, I mean, not that people tell me that a lot, but I've heard that. And I mean, I don't think I look particularly sad. I mean, this is my face. For better or for worse, this is my face, so this is how I look. So I really think that people have a tendency to project their emotions onto me. But so going back to the reasons why I isolate, like I said, I don't want to pretend like I'm happy. I get tired of the same questions people ask me. I get tired of small talk. Um, I just like, and also, I mean, the more you isolate yourself, the more you realize that you don't really need people. I mean, I'm not saying I don't wish I had more friends. I mean, I'm grateful for the handful of really good friends that I have. But what I'm saying is that the more apt, the more able you are to be alone, I think it's like a superpower in that, you know, it's not like if you're able to entertain yourself, I feel like it says a lot about you. I think that it shows that you're mature. It shows that you're independent in the sense that you don't need someone to complete you. I mean, I could be happy all on my own. I mean, I don't have a girlfriend. Um, I haven't had a girlfriend for like a while now, actually. And I mean, I'm not ashamed to admit that because I haven't been ready to date. I was pretty heartbroken um, after my past relationship. I went out with the same girl for like 3.5 years, and we went our mutual ways, and I just wasn't ready to date. I mean, honestly, part of it was due to low self-esteem. Not to get too off topic, but like I feel like I needed to isolate myself to do a lot of self work, and that kind of goes back to the whole theme of why people with mood disorders and mental illness issues isolate themselves. It's because they feel like they have to work on themselves and they feel like they could be draining to be around, which I mean, depending on how well controlled a mental illness is, that very well may be the truth. I mean, I know I've had friends who had issues with their mental health, and they were very draining. And of course, I didn't tell them that. I tried to help them. I tried to encourage them to seek therapy, and that they didn't always listen to me. It was my advice would sometimes fall on deaf ears. So I would just kind of be a person that they would just kind of complain to, and I would try to help, but it's like they just sometimes, and I'm learning this, and I think actually a lot of men have this problem, where they'll have somebody complain to them and they'll try to immediately fix it, whether it's offer advice or you know they'll feel, because they're uncomfortable talking about emotions, they'll feel the need to kind of talk a lot, to fill that silence because they don't know what to say, so they end up saying really stupid shit. And I mean, I don't think that I necessarily did that, but I realized that I wasn't always comfortable hearing about someone else's issues without offering advice. Sometimes people just need you to listen. And actually, by you offering advice, you may actually be inhibiting their progress, or you may be giving them a crutch to lean on when they kind of need to learn how to stand up on their own. Um, Man, I've been talking for 6 minutes and I've been meandering around my point. The original point of this video, and please forgive me for kind of rambling because I am not used to doing these videos yet, but I hope you're able to understand me. The initial topic is, why do people with mental health issues isolate themselves? I mean, I want to give an analogy of a road that is constantly under I want to give an example of a road that is constantly under construction. Um, I mean, would you want a lot of people driving down that road? The road has cracks. The road has trees that have fallen. The road has all these horrible things. I mean, you wouldn't feel comfortable with people driving down that road, and that road represents your mental health. So think about it like that. I mean, if you're understanding my analogy thus far, um, with a road that's constantly being worked on, and I mean, in a way, you could say that our mental health, people's mental health, are like that, where they'll have a life event that'll erode their mental health, and maybe they'll lose a husband or a parent or something like that, where they'll have an acute worsening, or they'll have an acute mental health episode where they'll have mental health issues like depression and anxiety, um, and they will isolate themselves to kind of lick their wounds. I mean, in the wild, when animals are hurt, they'll go into the cave, or they'll go underground, or wherever their natural habitat is, and they'll lick their wounds, so to speak. And I mean, humans are animals. I mean, we're relatively civilized, but we are still very much animals, and we're very animalistic towards each other. Which, once again, bringing it full circle, people with mental health issues isolate themselves due to fear of being hurt by other people. Because if you're having mental health issues, chances are you feel very vulnerable, right? So you don't want to be taken advantage of. And I mean, I definitely know what that's like, because I mean, I don't want to get too personal in this video, but I opened up to a certain member of my family. I really need some water, sorry. Excuse me. I opened up to a certain member of my family with mental health issues, and it was used against me, whenever this person wanted to make me upset. They would bring up the fact that I was having mental health problems. And ever since then, I've been very paranoid about talking about my mental health. And we all know that I feel like the worst thing people with depression and anxiety can do is not talk about it, because it's like another nail in the coffin, so to speak, where you're holding in all this you're holding in all these negative life experiences due to your own depressive lens as in, like, you're seeing everything through a depressive lens, like glasses. If you're seeing things like that, you may not want to open up to people, because, like I said, people can use it against you. And people treat mentally ill people like they have smallpox or like they have some sort of infectious disease. And so once again, that could that could encourage mentally ill people to isolate themselves, making them more marginalized. And I mean, while we're on that topic of infectious disease, you could use an infectious disease model to kind of understand how, God forbid, if someone with depression or some other mental health issue takes their own life, if they commit suicide. I mean, suicide, especially in high schoolers and in very vulnerable populations, it could encourage other high schoolers to take their own life. Um, and so you'll see increases in suicide in peer groups. And I mean, not just high schoolers, but I was just citing some literature that I read earlier. But yeah, so mental illness kind of spreads. If you surround yourself with depressed people, depending on your genetics, depending on many different factors, it's multifactorial, but depending on many different things, you could expect to see yourself be depressed or anxious. I mean, there's a saying that you're the sum of, what is it, the three people that you spend the most time with. Um, so, I mean, and that's definitely true. As I mature and as I grow older, I definitely see that as true. And I mean, I lost a friend this year to suicide, which is, I think, another reason why I'm making these mental health videos, because I would try to offer help to her, and she really wouldn't. I think she was so far gone in terms of her mental health, and she didn't have a proper diagnosis. I mean, I'm not a psychologist, but I just remember her being shuffled around from mental hospital, and I don't think she got the right diagnosis and the right treatment. So that's a factor, obviously, um, in that if you, as someone with depression or anxiety, if you're constantly going to psychologists and they're not doing a root cause analysis, meaning they're not getting to the root of your issue, or worse, God, they give you false hope, meaning that you think you have the right diagnosis, but you don't. You may think that your problem is being addressed, but really it's being exacerbated. It's being made worse. You'll be getting the wrong medication. You'll be getting the wrong treatment. I mean, you'll be getting the wrong anything. I mean, it's a longer list of what you'll be getting wrong than you are right. Then, if that even makes sense. But I mean, I'm gonna end this video here. I can't believe I've been talking for 13 minutes about this. But so I hope that this video. I almost dropped my phone. I hope someone watches this video. I hope it helps. I hope I was coherent. And have a good night.